Samia Suluhu Hassan, Tanzania's president, has officially let the people know that she is going to stay in power, whether they like it or not. Since the country's recent elections, Tanzanians have filled the streets to clearly communicate their rejection of the election's results and her alleged victory. In possibly one of the worst moves a leader could make, President Hassan simply went ahead with the inauguration, but the public were banned from attending. The current administration shut down the internet in an attempt to repress nationwide conversations and movements, but videos posted online show that thousands of people are continuing to march, and it doesn't seem like they're stopping anytime soon. How does one rule over people who are rejecting them? Through violence. So far, hundreds have been murdered during clashes with Tanzanian security forces. The movement in Tanzania is different. Tanzanians aren't known to protest. In fact, their Kenyan siblings have even teased them for taking a page out of their book. But it seems as though the East African country has truly had enough of accepting what has been forced on them for generations.
I, for one, do not recognize the person who was inaugurated as the president of Tanzania. She is an illegitimate president. The Africa we dream of, peaceful, prosperous, and respected, will only emerge when our governance is guided by our values and not by our interests. Turning to recent examples, it is totally unacceptable. It is totally unacceptable when an African leader, in order to stay in power, will resort to killing his or her own people. In order to stay in power, will rig an election, as if they are God's gift to their country. When you have a country with millions of people, for any leader to think they are the only ones who can be president is pathetic. And therefore, and my apology to those who may come from Tanzania, but I'm mentioning this because they are your neighbor, that the recent election and what transpired, the killings around that election, I, for one, do not recognize the person who was inaugurated as the president of Tanzania. She is an illegitimate president.
So the young people you talked about, yes. Still they are an expression that something is amiss. It may not even mean that they are always right, but I would rather than for those of us who are still around and don't want to be overthrown, we may need to find a way of making these young people responsible also, so that they feel they are part of, and therefore no need to overthrow. Because there are so many, they can't also be operating recklessly, collectively. So before they do that, it's our responsibility maybe to do something so that they have no need to do that.
So maybe this month or next month, there will be another major uprising, and there will be a huge demand for Lissu to be removed, to come out of prison, and all political prisoners will be set free, and there will be too much pressure for Mama to resign. And as the pressure will be too much for Mama to resign, then they will organize something, and Mama will mysteriously go to heaven and stay with God, just as Baba went. And yes,
pole.
You find that this woman will go to heaven. Will go to heaven at some point, because these people they just used her to bring their own candidate who is next behind her. Jimbi is Mtandao, CCM Mtandao. So, a candidate of that's Jakaya Kikwete. Yeah. So what is likely to happen Emmanuel is being poised to become the president. And you can see now he's moving. He was in SADC. He was addressing SADC. He will be moving all over. Because this, the Mutandao want him to become the president. But after they made sure that he has, Samia has to win so that Jimbi can become the deputy president, and then Samia is eliminated for Jimbi to rise up and become a president.
Apostle, is that a prophecy?
That is a coup. That was an internal coup to bring Tanganyikans into power. To remove the Zanzibari and bring the Tanganyikan into power.
Ukiwaua watu walioko kwenye maandamano, una violation nyingi sana za human rights. Kwa sababu maandamano ni issue ya kikatiba. Hata kwetu hapa maandamano ni issue ya kikatiba. Na inakuaga na very clear maandamano yote yanakuwa very clear, ndugu zangu. Tunajuaga yanapita wapi, kiongozi wake nani, analenga nini, yataishia wapi. Na mimi nisingetamani sana tuanze kujadili sana hizi content, kwa sababu kuna watu wamepoteza watu. Tujiepushe sana kufanya haya like mchezo, like siasa. Hapa kuna watu wamepoteza wapendwa wao.
I am the president of this country, and life must continue moving. Life must go on. For those who died during this process of election, for those who are arrested, we were just sorry for them, because life has to move or to go on. That was the statement of Samia and her entire government of Tanzania, because today, as the world and Africa is still mourning the deaths of the Tanzanians, today as the world still responding and still acting towards the situation that happened and everything that was done in this country, the government and the president of the country has nothing to worry about it, has nothing to do with all that happened. So today we have seen how women of this country are coming out, complain, to cry, to plead the government to at least release their people who are detained, to at least give their bodies of the people who are departed, to at least just give their bodies and release them. But the government has nothing to do with it. So how can you be proud to be a leader when the people of your country are not happy with you? How sweet is the leadership when your people who you call the people who turned out a large number to vote for you are going on the street every day to demonstrate against you? How can you be a leader, a great leader, with the highest percentage that ever experienced in the world, percentage of election, when your cities is still in burning flames? How can you be a leader when burning the public holidays, silencing the voices of the citizens, killing the people, the young people who are only going on the street to ask for the justice, for their rights and the freedom? Today, in East Africa, we have come to have the first woman, a dictative president who just take the life of the people for granted. Because for her, at this time, it's either you live in that country or you left that country. But the rest is none of her business. Before the truth came out by Larry Madowo, which was exposed by CNN's Larry Madowo, how everything happened in that country, how people were killed, how voices were silenced, how internet was shut down, and how they were limited not to access internet and post anything that happened during the period of election. People never believed all that was being said from the country of Tanzania. And Tanzanians themselves were threatened. So they remained silent over the whole situation. But since that time, Larry Madowo and anyone who tried to show interest to expose or speak about all that happened in that country, they were seen as threats. They were seen as threats. That's why today they are being fought each and every corner. Today, when we speak about the unity of the black people, we are not only fighting against the Europeans, we are not only fighting against the imperialists, but we are still having our own problems, our internal problems, which is being caused by our own leaders. Because at this time, let me ask you this question. Can you imagine that we have lost thousands of Africans just because of political issues? Political issues. Just because there's some people who are fighting to secure their positions. They are not ready to leave. They are not ready to leave the office. The office that it must come a day they will leave. They're killing people because of their power. They are ready to destroy the entire country just to secure their positions. Positions, power comes and go. Power comes and go. Money comes and go. But legacy, once made, will never disappear. That's why the history will always remember the good leaders, but it will judge the bad leaders harshly. Today, many of us, we always come here to speak about Patrice Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, and many other great leaders who sacrificed their own life to fight for the great change of African continent. We are today speaking about the Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, who came out to champion the independence of a black man. But today, the same history is still speaking how cruel, how bad leaders like Idi Amin, like King Leopold, and many others who caused deaths and massive deaths, genocides in African black continent. But the African system of governance was created in a way that the leaders were only made to believe in themselves and feel like once they reach they ascend to the position, it belongs to them. The country becomes their private sectors. That's how African leadership was made. For 5 years, we have had like 17 coup d'etats attempts in Africa. Some were successful, some were failed. And when you take a look of all these coup d'etats, most of them were being funded by the US, by the West. Because the West, what they like is to see how Africa is struggling, people being oppressed, and no development being happening. That's what they want, because through this they're getting and they're benefiting a lot. So at this time, instead of Africans fighting, instead of African leaders uniting, making peace among themselves, discussing on how to eliminate all these border issues, they're fighting themselves, they're killing their people. They feel like they're doing something which is good, but the world is laughing up over us. The world is laughing to us because that was their target. Whenever we fight, we kill ourselves, we kill each other. That's what they want, because through this they're benefiting and they're getting a lot. So how long will we continue being proud of the leadership, of the power, instead of our own countries? There are some people who fought for this great revolution, this great freedom and independence that we are playing with. And this is not what they were fighting for. What we are doing is not what they were fighting for. What we are doing was not Their target was not their visions, but they hoped for the best. They needed a free Africa, the great Africa, a borderless Africa, but not the one that we are having today, but that for you to cross from one country to another becomes a problem, a huge problem. So let's wake up, Africa. For the African youths, this is our time. No matter what happens, because all that is happening is just a way of limiting us not to achieve the greater agenda. All that is happening, if we give the chance to our greedy leaders to continue oppressing and depressing us, we will not be able to achieve the agenda of uniting Africa. So, Ibrahim Traore once said that liberation is a process that requires sacrifice. It requires sacrifice. It's a process that death will be there, oppression, hunger, and many things. For you to achieve this agenda of liberating your country, you need a lot for you to achieve this. So all that is happening is just a challenge, but we hope that together we are going to achieve this, we are going to win, and we must unite our great African continent. Tell me what you have in the comment section. Where are you watching this? What do you expecting? What is your expectation? We are being pained to see our brothers and sisters being oppressed, being given, being denied chances and opportunities, denied justice in their own countries. We are living in our countries like slaves under our own leaders. We are living in a harsh condition than those who lived under colonization and slavery. So we must stop this. I am the Black History presenter, and I appreciate your time for being here. Continue supporting, consider subscribing, sharing, so that you can hit the target. And let's move together as we pray for the great change of the African continent. Be blessed and peace out.